Well, hi, I'm Noah Bradley, and this is Handmade House TV, episode 13. Today we're going to talk about metal roofs. Stay tuned. Well, okay, today I'm standing in front of one of my favorite little log cabins, and it has a copper roof on it. There's a lot of options when it comes time to putting a roof on our handmade house. A lot of good ones and a lot of bad ones. And one of the things that I wanted to focus on today was specifically on metal roofs, but even more specifically to focus on copper roofs, and how to focus that is not our only option, that there are options within the options. You can keep refining further and further down the niche without getting it, and you can get it wrong or you can get it absolutely right. So let's start with metal roofs in general. Metal roofs are wonderful roofs. They last a long time. They're aesthetically appealing, and they sound absolutely wonderful on a rainy day. There's something about the sound of it pattering on the roof that will put most people to sleep or calm them. I understand there's even apps where the white noise, the background noise, will be a gentle rain on the roof. So metal often works well on handmade houses. It's a handcrafted material that a homeowner can do themselves with a minimal amount of tools and effort. And if you're building a cabin or any type of handmade house that's small enough, there's really not any danger in getting a roof this high off the ground, or this close to the ground, I should say. So it's a good homeowner builder option for us all to consider. Also, there's aesthetically appealing. A tin roof just looks really well on a handmade house, on something that's custom made, doesn't look like it's been manufactured. Whether that's a log house, a hay bale house, or a log cabin, or what have you. But and there are other options that look good as well, and we'll explore them in other episodes, but I really want to focus today on metal roofs. So in the world of metal roofs, the most common roof that we often think of would be a galvanized roof, which we see a lot on old farmhouses and also on barns. And galvanized is it's a thin piece of metal with a galvanizing layer put on both sides that helps repel rust. The problem with it, it's a little bit lumpy looking, which looks fine on a large home or on a barn. But on a smaller cabin, it's a little bit distracting, the waviness, all of the contour of having such a thin metal on there. Also, when galvanized goes on, it can't be painted because of this barrier put on top of it. Some say you can put a solution on it to make it so that it is paintable, but I've seen the paint fail enough in those first few years that I wouldn't even attempt it. And that's kind of a blessing to some people, and that is they don't want to paint those first few years. They want to get the roof up, they want to get in the house, they want to enjoy it for a few years before they have to paint it. But eventually, after 5 or 6 years, when the first hints of rust start coming on to galvanized roofing, that's when it needs to be painted. And from then on, about every 7 or 8 years, it's going to need a fresh coat of paint on it. Then another option besides that would be a turn roof. That's spelled T-E-R-N-E, turn roof. And a turn roof needs to be painted right away. It's much thicker metal. It lays flat. There's no waves or contours to it. It's more expensive than galvanized, not a whole lot more. But it is basically rusting on contact and needs to be painted right away. It holds paint really well. It looks really good. If you're after a farmhouse or something with a painted roof on it, turn is what you want to go with. If you want to build a barn, galvanized, or if you want to save money, galvanized. But in the long term, you have two options. There is actually a stainless steel roof out there that looks sort of gray once it ages a little bit, and it's actually fairly attractive. It's pretty expensive and it's hard to come by, and not too many people use it. Most of the people that want to go with something that's zero maintenance, that lasts a long time and is very attractive, they go with copper, which is what we see on the roof behind me here. I absolutely adore. I love copper. It is shiny as a new penny, so it's beautiful, brilliant when it puts on. It's like jewelry when you first put it on. But that lasts very short. A week or two later, she's starting to brown down, and she starts to look like basically a chocolate. Is the color of choice there. And people will object to copper and the expense of it, but again, if we start small, we have a lot less roof to cover, and also the maintenance factor of it. It lasts for a long time. It'll last your lifetime and the lifetime of your children. Chances are your grandchildren will never have to replace it, and so you will not have to pay any replacement cost. You won't be filling up the landfills with any disposed thing. You won't have the obtrusion of people in your yard replacing your roof, and when it comes time for you to sell, you'll get a premium. You'll get your money back when it comes time to sell, because people will, wow, it's a copper roof, we're going to really love that. Okay, so I wanted to share with you a couple more facts, and unfortunately, a lot of people just sort of stop at this particular phase in their thinking, and they say, "Okay, I want a copper and everything." But let me give you a few more tips with regard to a metal roof. For one thing, this is called a standing seam roof, and you can see each pan goes on. It rolls out. It comes in rolls. And then the edges come together, and then basically they're folded and folded, and it creates a standing seam, and that's how the rolls, the individual lines of the roof are connected. And by having those seams standing above the roof, they're out of the flow of the water as it flows off, and so it doesn't leak. Some people will make a flat seam roof where they'll push all those seams down flat, and which means you have to basically solder everything, and it's more prone to leaking. I personally find that a standing seam roof is more attractive. It's more visual appeal to it. But here's one little point for you, and that is that copper comes in different widths. Any kind of metal roof comes in different widths, and so the more cost effective, the less number of seams is, the wider the pans are, the individual pieces that go on the roof. And it gets a little bit more expensive because there's more seaming involved, the narrower the pan. Roofers can order different widths as far as pans go. So when it comes time for you to roof your house, make sure that you have it roofed in an appropriate width pan. I'm not going to tell you the dimensions of the pan, but what I'm going to reveal to you is that the smaller your home, the smaller your pans, and the larger your home, the larger the pans. That if you were to put a wide seams on this roof going across, it wouldn't look near as attractive as what we're looking at right now. And so when it comes time to putting roofing up, we can go with the handmade, hand seamed roofs, which are cost a bit more because of the labor involved in it. And if you're doing the work yourself, you buy these minimal tools that allow you to do this. You can actually, it's cheaper to buy it by the roll and put it up. But if you're not interested in learning the new craft of roofing and you want to save money, then likely what you'll want to do is probably some kind of fabricated metal roofing. My favorite is what's called a 5V Crimp Roofing, and it goes on easy. It comes in pre-made pans, and you basically put a nail in the tops of the seams that stand proud above the rest of the roof. And tell you the truth, it looks good. It comes in galvanized sheets, and I like it a whole lot. Now, one thing I can talk to you is that a lot of people that are interested in roofs nowadays, when they approach a roofer about a metal roof, they're often presented with what I call a color impregnated roof. When these roofs came out, they were awful. They're still, you can still find awful ones out there. So you really need to be careful if you're going with a color impregnated one. If you want to get one that's already painted red and the paint is guaranteed for 50 years or something or another, I was adamant against them, and that's because every roof that went on looked like it was a roof that belonged on a Hardee's, not a handmade one on a handmade house. and it was just atrocious, the distraction of this fabricated roof on top of it. They've come a long way now. They really are making more attractive roofs and more attractive colors. One of the things that you really want to look out for is minimal seaming. You want seaming to look like what you see here, and also you want to avoid a roof cap as much as possible. No big ugly monstrosity clamped up on the top there. That's really visually distracting from a roof. And I can say that there's one roof that I've seen put on. I was highly opinionated that it should not be put on a log cabin that I put on, and they found this new stuff that looks really nice, and they went with a color that was it was called a black, but actually it looked like a dark gray by the time they put it on there. And as usual, I was humbled, and that there are attractive options out there in the colored world. Just try to make sure that the finished result looks as handmade and as unfactory made as possible. Okay, I hope I didn't blow you away there with all that information, but I thought it was a good idea for us to talk about copper roofs today. Thank you so much for joining in today on Handmade House TV. I'm Noah Bradley. I do want to thank 3 more people that signed up for the Handmade House Academy: Paul Hyde, Mark Trinkman, and Nick Marmolejo. And boy, I probably messed your name up big time, Nick, but Nick, you're my hero for helping me with my book. I look forward to that coming out in the summer of 17. So this is Noah Bradley, and thank you so much for joining in, and we'll see you next Wednesday on Handmade House TV.